Look at this number, 7,500 euros. That buys you a used car. It pays you rent for a year, but instead, according to the current European Distributor Cartel, this is the ransom you are expected to pay to get 128 gigs of DDR5 RAM for your workstation. If you want to build a serious system for actual work today, like a Threadripper or Xeon platform, Intel and AMD have locked you inside a walled garden. They force you to use RDIMM server memory, and the exact millisecond you cross the threshold of the word enterprise, the market starts treating you like a fucking ATM. Today, I'm going to show you how certain retailers are applying criminal 300% markups on hardware that is worth a fraction of the cost. But to understand the scam, you first need to understand the underlying tech. So stop listening to the sponsored shields pushing RAM covered in RGB lights and pay attention. What is the actual physical and electrical difference between standard desktop RAM and server RAM? Why can't you just drop 256 gigs of consumer memory into your motherboard without crashing the entire system? Let's get into it. Look at your screen. This is the UDIMM architecture standard desktop RAM. That gray block is the memory controller inside your CPU. Every time your processor needs to read or write data, it has to send a control signal directly to every single memory chip on the module simultaneously. Electrically speaking, it is a fucking nightmare. The controller has to scream to be heard by 8 or 16 different chips. The more RAM you add, the more this fan-out degrades the electrical signal. This is exactly why you can't just jam 256 gigs of consumer RAM into a standard motherboard. The signal integrity collapses. And this is where the industry engineered a solution for servers, their RDIMM or register RDIMM. Notice the fundamental difference here. The CPU is no longer hardwired directly to the memory chips. Right in the middle, sitting between the processor and the DRAM, is a new piece of hardware, the RCD or Registering Clock Driver. The RCD acts as a literal electrical firewall and load balancer. The CPU sends a single crystal clear signal straight to the RCD. Then, this central register takes on the electrical burden of routing that command to the individual memory chips. This isolation allows you to stack obscene amount of memory in a server without frying the CPU's controller, dropping signal degradation to zero. So, from an engineer standpoint, it's brilliant, but from an economic standpoint, the only physical difference between a standard consumer kit and this server module is that single RCD chip, which, at an industrial scale, costs pennies to manufacture. The silicon is the same. The DRAM chips are identical, but the second they slap the word enterprise on the box, they hit with a luxury tax. But here the real kicker. You might think, fine, I will just shop around. Go ahead. Check whatever European distributor you want. You will find the exact same artificial inflection across the board. It's not just one greedy retailer, it's a systematic cartel. They know that if you are building a Threadripper Pro workstation, you have to buy RDIMMs. You have no alternative, so they lock the price and 300% of its actual silicon value. This is why you need to understand the hardware. When you know that the only difference between a 2,000 euros kit and a 7,500 euros kit is a 5 euros registering clock driver, you stop being a victim of marketing. Stop accepting the enterprise tax as a law of physics. It's not physics, it's just corporate greed. If you want to argue the silicon economics, the comment section is open. If you want more architectural breakdowns and zero sponsored garbage, initialize the subscribe sequence. Otherwise, close the tab and get back to work. End of log.